in this video I'm going to be talking about my experiences of a Kundalini Awakening. First of all, I'm going to talk about the experiences that have led up to that awakening. And hopefully this will be useful to people that this is also happening to, as I'm hearing more and more of people that are going through this experience, and also maybe people who are leading up to this experience. So the first experiences I remember of Kundalini was kind of, I think I was 19 or 20, and I was lying on my bed and there was this rush of energy up through the spine, through the neck and through the brain. There was this like flash of light, and it sounded like a popping noise as well, and just went whoosh, pop. And there was a lot of fear behind it, kind of fear, as it went through the neck and head. And then it relaxed down, and then this rush of energy up the spine, through the neck, through the head, this pop and this big flash of light, as if you can see inside your own head in a way. And very soon after this experience, I found myself in a meditation center learning meditation. And I had done kind of bits of meditation from books and done massage and things before that point, but it seemed to take on a bit more of a spiritual bent after that point. And that experience would happen quite a lot to me, and I'd encourage it. I enjoyed that experience of this energy travelling up and this bright light that would go off in my head as it happened. So I enjoyed that, and I learned meditation, I learned healing, I learned Tai Chi. This started at the end of the 70s and progressed on. And later on I started teaching Tai Chi. I had a Tai Chi school. I started teaching breath work, Qigong, meditation, healing, all these different things. I was doing that, but I was always aware of this energy travelling through the spine. That was always a main part of it for me. And I think that was how my system worked. I worked well with that energy that worked through the spine, and I learned with a Kundalini teacher and how it related to the different organs, the different vertebrae relating to the different organs and allowing this energy to move. This carried on for quite a while until my next kind of major move into that field was kind of round about 2002, and for some years I'd been getting really quite ill. For about 4 or 5 years I've been progressively getting more ill. I'd had to close down my Tai Chi school, and I had terrible fatigue and illness all of the time. And I actually had Lyme's disease. I didn't realise at the time, but I had Lyme's disease. I'm recording in nature, so you may hear cars, you may hear people, you may hear the wind in the trees, so there is stuff going on around. So anyway, I've become very ill with Lyme's disease, and basically I'd got to the point where I couldn't work anymore, and one day I was just lying in bed and breathing, and I just thought, whatever this disease is, I'm going to let it take me. I'm going to allow myself to drop into it, somehow find out what it is, because I could not fight it off really. And I let myself go, I let myself drop into that disease. And the gripping tiredness and this feeling of dying. It was felt like I was dying, and I kind of went through these waves of deep tiredness and death in a way, until a point where it did seem like I had gone through that veil, as if I'd gone back through death. And on the other side there's really a bright light and very kind of benevolent beings there. And as I came back, I felt a lot better. And what happened over the next few months, my Kundalini rose, not as a rush and a pop, it just went up and up and up and kept going. And it becomes a bit like taking LSD or something like that. You can see the life emanating from everything. Everything has an extra dimension to it. It's quite uncomfortable in that the mind starts unraveling as the energy travels through the head. It's a bit like the mind starts falling apart. And I must say, I didn't know it was Lyme's disease at the time, I just knew I was ill. This dropped away through this time, the illness, the tiredness, everything dropped away, and there was this quite amazing experience, and also quite a scary experience as everything breaks down as well. And but luckily after a couple of months I did start coming down from this experience, and as I did so I started breathing in a new way. And it just started happening. It just one night in meditation, this new way of breathing started, and I called that holographic breathing. It seemed to be born out of that experience, and it kind of gave a container for that type of energy, and helped in some ways promote that type of energy, but also balance that energy, keep it balanced, and a whole framework for it. And I made lots of different seminars how to work with this breathing system. And the first ones just balance things, and then the later ones also help to promote it a little bit. And I called that breath work holographic breathing. I'll just demonstrate it. There's a very gentle motion of the jaw with the breath. The lips are closed, the tongue is on the roof of the mouth, you're breathing through the nose. On the in-breath, the jaw gently opens. On the out-breath, it gently closes, but it's very subtle. Now on my website I teach this free of charge. You can go to my website and learn this free of charge. I'll just demonstrate so you can see it. So it's a very subtle motion of jaw, so you probably wouldn't have even been able to see the motion, but it takes you into deep meditation, deep relaxation very quickly, and seems just to help balance this whole energy and help me have a container for it after that time. It's a thing to relate with it. So, and I carried on, and after that I stopped teaching any Tai Chi. and instead I taught this breathing system. And when I did healing, this breathing system would in a way help with the healing. When I was doing healing work, the channels, the energies, the intelligence would help in doing healing work. So it became a very beneficial part of my life. And at that time I did discover that the illness I had was Lyme's disease, and it was very helpful in me recovering from the Lyme's disease, even though it did take some time to fully recover it. Rather than me just dying, I did slowly get better and recover from the Lyme's disease, and felt that this energy travelling through me was helping with that. Anyway, this all progressed. I carried on teaching, slowly moved along on my spiritual journey, and then coming to the solstice of 2012, the winter solstice of 2012, I've been doing quite a lot of kind of spiritual work. I've been travelling along the Ridgeway, which is an ancient pathway in Great Britain, working with the energies at the different sacred sites there. And also I've been teaching quite a lot of holographic breathing, but also because I wanted to make videos of the central nervous system and the energies and the anatomy. I was painting pictures of this and making videos of this, which also was encouraging this energy. But majorly when I was doing healing energy, a strong energy was coming to me, a bright white light started coming to me through this time, and people would mention it, or one person in particular, she said, when you're working on me, I just feel this really bright light. And I said, yeah, me too. This bright light was coming through. But there's another side to it. This bright light was coming through, but there was also this feeling that I'm going to lose the plot. Somehow my mind's going to unravel, I'm going to go nutty, I'm going to lose the plot. So there's this bright light and this feeling of losing it. They kind of came together. And the only way to let go of that, there was a feeling in the brain, there's a sensation in the brain, a bit of a pain or awkwardness, and this feeling, I'm going to lose the plot. And the only way to get through that was to let go of the mind, or for the mind to let go, for the mind to unravel, and then that energy would go through. That light would be there and that energy would go through. So, little known to me, I was coming to quite a strong event. And it was coming up to this solstice that people had made into quite a special event. It was the end of the Mayan calendar and different things like that. And for myself, I didn't think it was going to be such a big thing. But in the end event, for me, it was. Nothing would ever be the same again. And on the 12th of the 12th, 2012, I was doing quite a lot of healing work with people and became quite tired afterwards, but there was this intense white light and this crazy feeling that would come after that. So I spent a couple of days relaxing and just letting that go through and resting and letting go. And then a couple of days later I thought, well, I'll make another video of the central nervous system, the brain, and how that works and how the energies work through it. Because at least I'm working, rather than with other people, I'm working with the higher self and the earth and just the energies travelling through me. So I made that video. And then afterwards I was sitting down editing it, and I was watching this video, and this terror, this wave of terror or fear just started running through me, and this energy started, the likes of which I've never felt before. It travelled through the spine, it went through the head, this driving energy travelling through my head and my brain. And it was uncomfortable, but the neurons, the tissue was not used to this energy. It never had come across. And also there is this feeling, for it to happen, you really have to let go of the mind. That you have to let the mind unravel for it to go through. So there's this feeling, I've lost the plot, really. And this energy going through, and you sink back a bit, this energy travels through the head, and that's where we sit, that's who we perceive as ourselves, that is kind of what we think of our being or something. But as this energy travels through and just keeps going and going, you have to sit back. You can't be in there where you were before. It's a different gestalt. You move back slightly and are viewing yourself. I think this is quite a common experience when this happens. You cannot be the same person anymore. You kind of have to let go of what you were before to allow that energy to go through. So anyway, I was thinking, oh my God, what's happening? I'm on the Ridgeway and there's some burial mounds, and I'm walking up and down, thinking, wow, tomorrow or tonight, this will subside in a bit, this energy will stop. But it didn't stop, and hasn't stopped since. It just carried on through. And it's a bit similar. You know, before you get this energy coming up the spine, and it pop, oh, that's nice, another energy running up the spine, that's nice. But this was different, because this was a bit like the light went off, the energy went through, but the light stayed on. It didn't go out again. It wasn't a rush and a pop. The light stayed on, and the energy just kept on going. And there's this whole different way of being. And then there's something about, as this energy goes through the head in the way, you see things in a different way. Everything is the same. Everything is the same. A tree is a tree, and a lake is a lake, and a bird is a bird. But everything is emanating out of the source. Everything has a fourth dimension. Everything looks quite amazing. But it's a funny experience. It's very difficult to explain, because you have to let go of who you were. For this energy to go through, you have to let go of that. You drop back and you become a bit more of a viewer in it. Very difficult experience to describe. And to start off with, definitely not comfortable. I mean, now, 2.5 years later, I'm more comfortable with that experience, and actually in myself promote that experience a bit. But anyway, at that night I didn't sleep. This energy just carried on going. The next day it was still going through, and I was thinking, oh my God, what is happened to me? And I was in the Avebury area, and I went and visited some friends. I thought, this energy is just going through my head all the time. And, you know, what can I do? And they say, oh, just relax, you'll be all right, it will stop. but inside of me I knew somewhere, I thought it would be great if it stopped and I can process it and understand it a little bit. But inside of me somewhere I knew this door had opened, and it doesn't shut again. That particular door, when it opens, that's it. It just opens. It's a birth. It's not something you go into and then come out of. It's a birth. You go into it, it starts, and you're in a new life. So anyway, I stayed around Avery for a bit, and I thought, actually, I've got to find somebody who can help me. Inside I thought, well, this is my Kundalini. I can feel the energy, but the experience of it is very hard to be with. Continually having to let go of the mind is quite something. And I travelled to Milton Keynes and met an Ayurvedic doctor there who did acupuncture and worked with the monks a lot and understood these different energy things. And he took one look at me and I said, my Kundalini is rising. He said, yeah, your Kundalini is rising. And it was good to get that confirmation, and he could feel it in my pulses. So it's very handy to have that confirmation. Actually, I haven't lost the plot. It is my Kundalini rising, and it is a very powerful experience. And you do have to let go of the mind to go with that experience. And he said, you know, you're just not used to it. This energy is coming up through your whole body and going through the brain, and the brain's just not used to it, and it's opening up these higher centers, and you have to let go of the thinking mind to allow it to travel through. And he said you've also got to allow it to come out through the top of the head. In a way, this energy is not for you, it's going home, it's going back to the source or back to God. And he did some acupuncture to help it through this area and balance my nervous system a bit. And this was coming up to the solstice. This was the day before the solstice. And those 3 days it really peaked. I went up to Ivinghoe Beacon, which is the beginning of the Ridgeway, and I sat there and this energy was just going through and through, and I just, because I had this conversation that it was what it was, I was more happy to let it be that experience. I wasn't fighting it, saying, no, this is wrong. Because I've been told, yeah, it is your Kundalini, it is what you thought. Okay, you do have to let the mind go, you do have to let it go through. So I was more happy letting it go through, and then I also allowing it coming out through the top of my head, which is letting go in another way. It is like you're going to die. It does feel like that to start off with. This energy is going to kill you. Or it's quite scary as it comes to these points of opening or different levels, and you get into that level, it's okay, but when they first open, it is scary. And letting it come out through the top of my head. And that really is if you are letting go of your life, letting go of everything you know as it comes out. And it was just so strong this first time. For those 3 days, the day before the solstice, and the day after, the energy. And I was sitting on Ivinghoe Beacon. I felt as bit as if I was the beacon, this energy just. And it was going right up through the clouds. I was like turning into fire, and its experience was just burning through me. The mind can't survive that way. You just have to keep letting the mind unravel. It doesn't go away, but you are no longer the mind. You are no longer what you perceive, or I was no longer the mind. I was no longer what I perceived as myself, my identity before. Just had to keep letting go. I hadn't arrived anywhere, but I was leaving where I had been. I don't know that I have arrived anywhere yet. I know I'm on a journey somewhere. But in that journey, who we think we are, what we consider to be ourselves, disappears. So through those 3 days it really went off, and my feeling is, because it was so accurate, it started on the 12th of the 12th, and really got going on the 14th of the 12th, and then on the solstice, boy, it just went. So even though I hadn't thought that solstice was very important, I would never be the same again. And this experience just carried on. I just found ways of relaxing with it and learning how to process things in a new way. In a way, I'm not sure what you're clearing in this, but it's a bit like the bardo, what you go through when you die. All of your karma starts unraveling at that point, and you start processing that. One way everything looks incredible, amazing, you have to let go of yourself. The mind has to unravel. And in that letting go, that unraveling, all the karma that has held us forever, also you can start watching that going. It's consciously dying in a way. So that was going on, but because it did happen so accurately on that solstice and through that solstice, I got the impression that it was an opening, and not just for me, that a lot of people had similar experiences, or it led to similar experiences to people. And since that time I've just been hearing of people whose friends have similar experiences. So I think we may have moved into a new era at that time when this will happen. And it may be, a very strong experience and hard to be with at first. But I think it's actually very necessary. I keep looking at my watch. I've got to stop now because the video is going to run out, but I think this experience is necessary on a global level for people to drop out of what they were before and encompass a new age and time in themselves. Okay, thank you.